Alright, so back here on the 1978 Toyota pickup, been working on the passenger side rocker, and so I got the cab corner in, so that's looking pretty good. So pretty pleased. This whole thing was completely rotted out, so I had to fabricate all of that, and so that's turning out pretty good. Then I had a bunch of rot up in here as well, so just made a big panel to cover up all of that. So I think this side should be good. I got some more in the transmission tunnel and on the edge and stuff, but this side should be good now. And then, big panel here, big panel on the other side as well, and so that's all married together. Okay, I did have a little spot here where I know it looks ugly now, but we're going to be getting to grinding. But I had a little spot here that just the wire wheel blew through it, and so I had to cut a little patch in and get that in there. That one's ugly as hell, but we'll see what we can do with after grinding it. Same thing on the bottom section here. So all of this whole bottom, where I just rough cut it after I got it welded in there, and so there's a bunch of extra material, and so all that needs to get ground, and all that extra material off there. I haven't got to the front yet, but just like in the cab corner, the front is a nightmare on the passenger side. The driver's side actually wasn't too bad. There was a hole here on the driver's side, but the rest of this was fine. But yeah, this whole thing's completely gone. There's no way I'm going to be able to salvage any of that, so I'll have to cut it high along here and then make a decision on where I marry these pieces together. So with all these compound curves, there's no way I can make this in one piece with it having to go, like, if you look here, it's like 2 inches, and then it gets wider, and then it gets to like 2 3/4, and so like this sort of like tapered shape here, with a bit of a curve on this edge, obviously wraps underneath, wraps on the side, and then gets in the corner. So there's no way I can make that piece myself, and so I'll have to make it in 2 pieces. I'll be able to make a section here that'll fold up under, so basically like on this edge, and then it'll be able to get to the bottom, and then I'll be able to make a piece here. And that's how I did the cab corner, and it turned out all right. I was able to get this sort of rounded edge here. Even though I have 2 pieces on the cab corner, I was able to get this rounded edge on that side. Good thing about this piece is the fender actually comes down and covers that up, and so there's captured nuts on this side, and this all gets covered up. So I still want it to look good, and so I'm going to try to get it matching as much as possible to what the factory one was, but at the end of the day, this gets covered up. Kind of the same with the cab corner. That gets buried behind, the bed butts up close to it, pretty close. So, a lot of these things you won't see, and then even the rocker, I mean, it's the bottom edge that nobody will ever see. And so, while I'm trying to make it look all right, in reality, after a little bit of lead and filler and stuff, the metalworking will all be hidden, just like you do framing, and all that good work gets covered up by drywall. This will be the same sort of thing. So I've been putting off all the finish grinding because it's annoying and loud and terrible. So if you're watching this, turn the volume down, because I'm going to get to grinding all this stuff here up underneath and in the back. So I'm going to do a bunch of grinding right now, make a bunch of mess all over the place, but it's got to get done. So I end up using the angle grinder for the vast majority of it, the big shaping, in order to not run through the flat discs. The flat discs are actually way nicer to use. They're fast, but when you're doing like shaping and getting rid of all this weld, they just get eaten up. Like, you could probably do about like this much with a flat disc and it'll be wasted. And so they're definitely, they're fast, they're nice to use, but if I just try to use a flap disc for all this, I'd probably go through 4 of them in just this one section. And so, you know, the grinding wheel lasts a lot longer and is better at knocking down this weld, and then even like shaping this stuff on the bottom will be better at that. And then there will probably be some spots where I'll end up using the little mini belt sander as well. That comes in handy for, you know, if you got any spots that are like up in a corner or whatever, this comes in handy. Now I got a little die grinder as well, so it'll be, as always, every single tool I own will be out. So, all right, well, I'm gonna get to it, but it's gonna be loud. Alright, so yeah, it's just a bunch of that. So knocking it mostly flat with the grinding wheel, and then you can come back with a flap disc, and then, you know, as soon as it starts getting into the base metal, then it's all flush. And that's, you know, why I always check for good penetration, because, you know, I don't, if you just do like a booger weld on the top of it, and then that, you know, is what's holding the metal together, is that blob of weld on the top of it. If you grind that off, and then it's just going to pop, and so then the weld will crack. And so, you know, there's a little bit of, you could see like right in here, a little bit of pinhole, you know, where the weld is kind of coming loose there a little bit. And so, you know, I'll be careful around that and see, you know, I might have to come back and weld a little bit there, little tiny pinhole here. But yeah, the rest of it, you know, real good. And so, yeah, that's when I talk about penetration, like, you know, we see here, this coming through on the back side of the panel, where, you know, I was welding on the inside, and then you could even see that the weld's coming through all the way on through the other side. Like, that's the reason, is so when I come back and grind this, you can grind it all nice and smooth, and then, you know, a little bit of filler and sanding, and then that'll look real good. And so, yeah, it'll just be a whole lot more of that. you know, try to get a bit of shaping. You know, there's a couple little high spots and stuff in here, but again, this is just in metal, so there's a lot more work to do. So I'll get to grinding the rest of it. All right, thanks. See you in the next one.